Well, good morning from Taz Motorsport. Lovely Sunday morning. At least it's not raining. Hope everyone is having a great weekend and week. Just thought I'd come on and give a quick update. Down at the workshop now. And we've got some progress update on the Mazda mx2, which it's been named. So the Mazda mx2, which is our Mark 2 Escort, Mark 2 Ford Escort, with an mx5 1.8 VVT engine and gearbox going in. We've been a bit quiet the last couple of weeks. We've been very busy with other bits and bobs and customers' cars and stuff like that. Yesterday we got down here early doors, got cracked on. Big help from Dad, Richard Urquhart. Yeah, I think we're ready for an update. So here is the update. The engine and gearbox is in. I've just test fitting all the inlet manifold. I've just customised the exhaust manifold, and the lighting is not very good here. I do apologise. So yeah, the manifold, I need to be able to turn. Can I turn this round? Yes, I can while I'm live. So here we go. The exhaust manifold clears all the engine mounts, clears all the cross members, and has got plenty of room to go down underneath the car. The heating pipes are in exactly the right position for the heater matrix inside and blower. I'm going to have to make a bit of a custom fan setup for the heating because I do like heating. This is a crossflow aluminium radiator that I'd bought originally for when the crossflow was in the car. Just mocking up now, cutting out, trimming out, trying to use this as sort of a guide to a radiator that we're going to have to obviously have a custom one made for the car. Unless anybody knows a alloy radiator, slightly lower profile, probably, I don't know, 50 mil shorter as a radiator, and the outlets on the opposite sides. So I need the bottom one on this side, and I need the top one on the other side. I think we're going to do a coolant reroute. So we're going to completely and utterly get rid of the pig nose on the front. That's going to be blanked, and the water's going to come out of the back of the head. So when the engine and gearbox comes back out, which is going to be later on this afternoon, just after I finish mocking everything up, I can then get in and, you know, get all of the engine mounts. These are tacked in place. The mounts are all welded. They're done, and where they bolt onto the engine. We're going to get the engine and gearbox back out. The gearbox mount is a temporary one underneath the car at the moment. The inlet manifold, there is plenty of room, front and rear. Obviously, we're going to create a 45-degree and have the air filter in here. We're going to drill out the section. I'm going to make a bit of a cold air feed behind the grille, so it'll sit just behind here. We're going to cut all that out, and that'll be the cold air feed for the intake. The ECU and standalone wiring harness is on order from Motorsport Tools. I just need to give them a few more lengths and dimensions for bits and bobs so they can finish that off for us. I think in the future we're going to go ITBs, so we've got plenty of room for direct throttle to head. Plenty of room to the inner arch and the engine face, so there's plenty of room for ITBs to go in. The pedal box is going inside, so there's no brake servo or anything in here going in. Obviously, we're going to seal all the holes up of the previous bungs and previous arms that came through for the brakes. Yeah, so oil catch cans and everything are going to go on this side. I'm going to get a stainless steel plate made or an aluminium bracket made for this corner. I'm going to make that up myself. And then over here will be the oil catch cans and probably a small fuse box for the engine bay. Because obviously we're going to still run spotlights. We're still going to run this. We're going to try and get it running on an NA application, so standard application. So if I do want to go and do something, I can still do it. If I find that I'm having too much fun and want some more power, then we're either going to go the ITB route or I'm going to turbo it, because there is plenty of room here for a nice big turbo. And then we'll push for, probably I'll build another engine and we'll shoot for 300 horsepower on a 1.8 VVT. So it's been done. It's been done very easily by people in the past, so that's an option. Or we stick with the stock internals, maybe a set of cams and a set of throttle bodies. But I just thought I'd jump on. There's all the engine mounts down there. I haven't got a very good light this morning because the Escort isn't in the ideal location. So engine is in. Engine mounts are all fabbed up. Chassis mounts are all tacked in place. Gearbox mount is underneath. Plenty of room in the tunnel. Plenty of room for the prop shaft. The angle is absolutely spot on, so we can get that prop shaft sent away now. Now I've got sort of a temporary gearbox mount made up, and sort of the angle that the engine wants to be on. I can measure that out now, and I can get the prop shaft sent away and have that custom prop shaft made with the English flange on the back and the mx5 prop front section pig nose going into the gearbox. Plenty of room inside. Like I say, lighting isn't very good, but that's where our turret's going to sit. We're going to obviously tidy all this up. We're going to clean all this section up, and we're going to make a lovely boxed in section for that. So yeah, plenty of room. Really nice place as well, because obviously the standard shifter was around this sort of location. But being back here is a lot more comfortable, especially for a Mark II. So, just a quick one. I know the lighting's awful. This little panel here that you can see, which is embossed, that is going to have to come out, because at the back of an MX5 engine is the, well, basically the feed for the heater box, which is this. So this is a little aluminium piece that sits in the back of the head, like this, with a temperature sensor in it. And this pipe goes here on the back of the engine and feeds into the sister pipe of this one, which comes from the water pump, which obviously feeds the heater matrix inside. Now, there's two options. First off, we're going to go down and see our good friend Jamie Dodd, and we're going to see whether he can make us an aluminium piece that can sit exactly the same shape as this, but we want the big outlet coming out the backside, just like this one that normally sits on the front. So we want this size pipe at a 90 degree, not at a 45. So that can come out of that way, go around the engine and into the top section of the radiator, because we want no water heater pipes on this side really, other than the ones that we're going to run into the heater matrix. So we're going to have that side fabricated up, plated up. We're going to also have a smaller temperature sensor, which is, this is the standard temp sensor, and then in the front one, normally you have, especially on the Mark 1s, this is like a fan switch as well as a sort of temperature sensor. It just sits just inside there, and yeah, that gives you that. So I think we're going to change it. We're going to have a temp sensor inside the radiator, and then we're going to have that onto on the other side, a regulated fan switch as well. There will also be a override on the fan switch. Also, the fan is going to have to sit on the front of the radiator, not on the back, because we are struggling for space. I might be able to get a slim line in on the back, but I do want to keep the engine as free flow as possible. So this isn't the final angle of the engine, by the way. I've just got it sitting back. It will sit more level to the front. There's a temporary gearbox mount in at the moment. So that's where we're at with that. We are going to have to use the adapter kit from Boffy Racing, and that gets rid of this standard water pipe, which sends a feed up to the pig nose, because that is going to be being removed and the front of the engine will be blanked off. So that pipe will be redundant. Also, the pipe that goes from there to the IRC, that's going to be made redundant. We're going to take a feed for the water from the oil cooler for that. So that's not an issue. We can run water into the oil cooler, out of the oil cooler, into the throttle, the IRC, back to the oil cooler, and then back into the engine. So that's not an issue at all. So that's where we're kind of at with the MX5 engine in the Mark II Escort. It has been named the Forza or whatever it's called, Mazda mx2 or Mazda mk5, as some people are calling it online. We're going to do a YouTube update today as well. So this is where we're at with the engine. The sump clears, no problem at all. We've modified all of the cross member for the bottom of the sump to sit behind. The top of the sump, we've got about 6 to 8 mil clearance before we are anywhere near the steering rack. This is using the standard cross-flow cross member and standard mounting position for the quick rack. So that all connects up to the standard column, which is down there. No interference from the engine mount, no interference from anything else. The starter motor clears everything. It is a bit of a tight squeeze at the back there, but these inlet manifolds are very, very easy and very, very quick to remove from the engine. So if there was any issues, plus, to be honest with you, underneath the car, there is bags of room. I can get straight up to the starter motor. I can get straight up to the alternator, which is the alternator sits just here under the inlet manifold. And yeah, so the VVT solenoid up here. So we are changing the VVT solenoid, if you all bear with me as I move to my second engine, which is the one I'm actually building. So VVT set up on a Mazda mx5 1.8 VVT. So it takes your oil pressure from your oil switch, sends it up this pipe to the black block. Right, this has been removed on our engine because we are struggling for space, and we are struggling for space at the back of the engine. So that then feeds down this pipe into the top of the VVT solenoid. So what we have done, we have fabricated a plate. So let's take this on a journey. If we come round to this sort of section of the engine, we find where the oil port goes on, which is at the front. So that is where the VVT solenoid standardly fits on an MX-5. So what we've done is we've fabricated an aluminium plate and we've tapped it. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a 90-degree banjo fitting that comes out of said VVT solenoid. 90-degree banjo fitting will come out, down, and then there'll be a stainless steel braided hose that goes down the rocker cover through past the injectors, and it'll go straight into that oil pressure sensor switch, which completely and utterly negates the fact that we have to have anything running across the top of the rocker cover and down the back of the engine. Because if you don't, realise it, that's a pretty stupid idea, to be honest. So we're going to do banjo fitting from there, stainless steel braided line, down to the oil pressure switch. That completely keeps us running the same amount of pressure from the engine that was designed from Mazda. So bish bash bosh, that's done. Let's remove, which is dead easy. Take that back over to the bench. I can show you a bit more on this one actually, and we've got a lot of people watching. You're either not doing the Targas that are on today and you're sitting home loving the life, or you're in your garages as well. So twin coils are staying on. We will go individual coil packs eventually. This is the pig nose I was telling you about. So this is an absolute, it sticks right out of the engine. Now, this is going to be completely removed. Get rid of that. We're going to have a separate piece that's going to come this way and then a 90 on it. That's all we need on this side. There's no power steering pump going on this engine. There's no air conditioning pump going on this engine. So we are literally going to take this piece down to Jamie Dodd and say, we want X, Y, and Z. I want a piece that comes out with a 90 degree at this size with a line coming out, a union fit in there that I can put a hose on. And that's my feed for the heater matrix inside. That's completely done. That completely gets rid of this pipe, that completely gets rid of this pipe. Or the other thing I can do is, at the front of this section, we will include a small piece that comes out of here, and I can run that to the IRC up there, which then comes out of the IRC and down to the oil cooler. So in that respect, we can. And that obviously, if you come with me again, up to the IRC, out of the IRC, into this hose that goes into the oil cooler, that comes out of the oil cooler, comes round to the back of the engine to this little fitting right here. That is then the feed of the water back into the engine once it's all been cooled. Now, you don't really need to run an oil cooler on these engines. If you can keep the sumps nice and open, then they do stay cool enough. They're a big sump, they're aluminium, you don't really need it. So we can get rid of this component, we can blank off the back port, and if we really wanted to, we could run a sandwich plate with a separate oil cooler in front of the, radiator or something like that. But the oil temps do kind of stay cool, especially when you use it in this sort of application. In an MX5, they do get hot, and there's many reasons as to why. One is because of the subframe on an MX5. They are very, very large, and they cover the vast majority of the sump. So the sump doesn't ever really get a lot of air passing over it, only a couple of fins on the bottom of the sump. Have I got a sump already out? Yes, I have. Let's come again. So, no, that's I've put it back on the other engine. This is, for example, this is a steel sump that we've got off a Mark 1. Right. So normally it sits in the engine bay like that, and only ever this section here, which has got fins on it on the aluminium version, does that ever get any cooling in when it's in the application of an MX5. So, fitting it in this application, we have got a vast amount of cooling. The front of the sump's open, the back of the sump is all open, the whole of the engine bay is all open. So therefore, we don't really need to run an oil cooler. Now, if I do decide to turbo this car, I can always run a sandwich plate and run an oil cooler in front of the radiator, or stuff it down in front of the grill or somewhere. There's plenty of room in this engine bay that I can run an oil cooler in the future if I think, do you know what? We are, sort of running high temps, or we're going to be turbo application, or we're noticing a lot of, engine temps going through the roof, or oil temps going through the roof. We can always add an oil cooler. It's not a problem. So that then leads me on to the next conundrum that we've got, which is double pulley. Now, I've been in contact with a friend of mine who you can get a single pulley wheel for the bottom, which just drives the water pump and the alternator. So that then gives us another 15 mil down the bottom, 20 mil of clearance in the bottom of the engine, which is down here. So it's all about creating space with this engine. It's all about, these were never designed to go in a Mark II Escort, let's face it. Neither was a Duratec, but people made them fit. Neither was an XE, but people made them fit. They do fit. You've just got to be very, very mindful of your space. Now, exhaust manifold. There is an abundance of clearance down there. This is a 4x2 standard manifold for an MX5 1.8 VVT. And as you can see, we have bags of room down there, absolute bags of room. So there's plenty of room for the exhaust system. It's not a problem. I am going to probably marry it up with the original Ashley exhaust system that was on the car. So it'll be a 4x2x1, and then out the same application on the back. Only because the exhaust system was pretty much brand new, and, well, might as well use it because I've got it. So there's no point going and building a complete and utter custom system as long as the diameter of the pipe is the same, and as long as, it's quiet enough, which it's probably not going to be, but who cares? What else? Oh, I was going to mention the EGR. So there's an EGR on the back of the inlet manifold. That's going to be being removed as well, and that'll be blanked, which will create us more space here again. So yeah, we have got a vast amount of space in this engine bay, and I just thought I'd come on and give you all a quick update, as we've been quite quiet on the front of this, and just let you all know that, yeah, the engine and gearbox is in. It's in its sort of place where it wants to sit. Yes, okay, it's leaning a bit back at the moment, I know. There's a temporary gearbox mounting. that I've literally just shoved in for now, so that if I need to, I can get this off the axle stands now, back on its wheels, and I can move it around the workshop, which is great. Anyone who knows anybody who can help us out with a custom aluminium radiator, I think I'm going to give Gethin a shout as well, because I know he does alley rads and stuff like that. But I'll probably have to send him like a cardboard cutout or something, or because he is quite far away. We are going to take the rest of this slither out, and the car is going to be going on bonnet pins. So I can take out the standard catch and cable for the bonnet latch, and the radiator will sit another 10mm back. So, you know, if we cut out this section but leave here, I could probably have something where I just make a tab, make an L bracket that, you know, bolts, you know, a threaded piece on here that bolts to there, same on the other side, bolts to there, and then, you know, something down the bottom that we can make with rubber mountings. Probably even use parts of the mx5 radiator mounts as well, because they're always pretty good to use. But yeah, I just thought I'd come on quickly and give you all a quick update, and thank you everyone for jumping in and having a watch of the live. Anyone's got any questions or anything, please feel free and give us a shout. We are opening up the diary again for people who need any work. We've just got to clear about 6-8 jobs that we've had in. Thanks for watching, love. So the diary is back open at the moment. We've got 2 jobs in next week, and we've got some work booked in. We've got a very important meeting as well in 2 weeks' time down in London. I can't say any more on it at the moment, but I've got a very big meeting with a very big company, becoming, you know, sort of a partnership, and I can't say too much, but it's going to be very, very exciting if the meeting comes off and everyone's happy and it all gets agreed and everything like that. There will be a new service coming to Taz Motorsport, and we will be basically, you know, gearing up, going a bit bigger, and offering a lot more and a lot more choice. What ECU am I going to use, Daffs? I am going to be using the ME, Motorsport Electronics 221, with their standalone harness. And the reason I'm going to be using that, because I could put a standard MX5 wiring harness in and I could completely strip the Escort. There's a brand, well, not a brand new, but there's a second-hand wiring harness out of an MX5 that I stripped out of the donor car that this engine and gearbox came out of. But, this is a very big but, I want to keep the authenticity of the car. And I know it sounds stupid and people will go, yeah, but you've just put an MX5 engine in it. So you've gone Jap engine and you've modified the cross member and you've modified this and modified that. But I want to keep the standard steering wheel, and I want to keep the standard indicator stalks, and I want to sort of keep the standard, you know, feel of the Escort. Yes, okay, she's going to have a bit more power, but that's as far as it goes. The axle's still the same, the front hubs are still the same, the brakes will still be a little bit better. We'll cross that bridge. But I want to keep the authenticity of everything. So, I mean, Escort wiring harnesses are very, very easy as well. There's literally one wire here, right? This wire, this little red wire, all I have to do is provide 12-volt live to that, basically to that, right? And all of my lights work. My wipers work, my headlights work, my brake lights work, my indicators, everything works by just providing power to that part of the wiring harness. It's a very good wiring harness. The standard loom on the car has never been messed with, it's never been touched. Everything has been independent. So it hasn't been cut into and chopped into and everything. So I want to keep the authenticity of the car, and I want to strip this part of the loom back in the engine bay, send the wires inside the car that don't need to be in the engine bay anymore, wrap those up and put them up, i.e. the diode, you know, that went to the alternator, that went to the, you know, the washer bottle, for example. The screen washer bottle can come back in the engine bay, you know. I think I might put it inside the car though, to be fair, a small one. But yeah, anyway, I am waffling now. So I will let everybody go. Thank you for tuning in. I am going to crack on and probably start stripping all the bits back out of this. Take the inlet manifold back off, take the exhaust manifold back off, take the engine mounts back off, set the crane back up, get the engine out, and speak of the devil, people are here. So we'll catch you all later. Goodbye for now.